Vinny?
All good? You alright, Sean?
Good, thank you.
Good. Just a couple of things to check with you first. And away from obviously the game at hand. When we see what happened to Robin Koch at the weekend in the Leeds Manchester United game, do you feel that the concussion protocols are fit for purpose at the moment?
I think they'll be looking at it, regardless of my opinion. I think there's plenty of people, there's been a lot of talk over the last year or two about heading the ball, about head injuries, about concussion protocols, as you said. And I think there'll be plenty of doctors, scientists, etc., looking at the best way that we can manage them situations.
How do you feel about them as a manager, though? I mean, are you happy with them? Do they cover enough bases when it comes to the protection of your players?
I feel that there's a lot of medical people out there who are way more advanced in their knowledge of how to deal with these situations than me, and they'll pass it on to our medical team, and my medical team will make it clear to me the protocols that we're going to use to safeguard the best we can the players.
We're waiting to find out exactly what the plans are going to be as regards to scrapping COVID restrictions in England. I just wonder, are you likely to relax any of your protocols, or do you think you'll need to keep them as high as possible to, again, protect players and ensure the virus doesn't spread through the squad?
I think, again, it goes into the medical grounds. They'll give us advice. The Premier League will advise us. Obviously, the Premier League rules, if you like, have been more stringent than life rules. So been doing what they can to try and safeguard, first of all, to play their part, of course, but try and safeguard games getting called off and the likes. And safeguard the players as well, of course, And I think that there's enough medical people out there. It seems to me, like you say, that the feeling seems to be that they're going to soften down on the protocols. Now, I don't know what the central government are going to do, quite obviously, but it seems like that's the way it's going. The more general knowledge we all have of certainly this next or the wave that's here or going, or whichever way you look at it, seems to be a lesser version. So it looks like the protocols will soften, but I don't know whether the Premier League will soften the protocols. I mean, it's softening a little bit now. Our testing's come down to twice a week and things like that. There's a little bit more flexibility with wearing masks and stuff, but it's still there. We're still adhering to a lot of different things that we have to do, red zone thinking and the like around the grounds. So there still is that. Look, we're all hopeful. Forget about football. We're all hopeful that we can get back to truly normal rather than all these kind of variances of normal.
Also then, Tarkowski and Westwood okay to play this week, and also Gullit and Weghorst. Are the injuries the knots that they picked up at the weekend?
Well, them two should be fine. I'm hopeful on them too. And the other two with the COVID situation will wait on news, because obviously they've still got under the current protocol. They've still got a test clear. So we'll wait to find that out tomorrow.
Charlie Taylor as well, how's he?
Yeah, he's back training. With Charlie, it's one of them because it's a strange kind of foot injury where it's getting better, it's getting stronger, he's back training. It's more the loading, so we'll have to wait and see whether he makes this one. But we'd like to think as long as all goes well this week, he'll be around it again at the weekend, around the squad, that is.
Obviously, it was nice to see Wout Weghorst get off the mark at the weekend. Could you just kind of sort the impact that he's had on the squad? Because it seems to be already pretty popular amongst the rest of the lads as well.
Yeah, got a really good manner, very professional. Arguably on first showing, I mentioned after the game that arguably one of the best professionals I've seen already. The way he applies himself to what the game offers and himself. Very open-minded coming in this building about what we're trying to achieve, how we're going about it, and he's adapting to what we want to do. And he's shown early doors. He's bringing a difference to the team. We can play up to him. He holds the ball up well. He links well, but he can find a goal and he can find a chance. As importantly, he's found chances in every game so far, and he got his iron on Saturday and finished a fantastic finish. And he's shown the variance that he can give to our team. Different styles, different ways of playing. And the biggest thing of all, I think, is the thing you forget about football, it's hard work, and he is willing to do a shift for the team. I mean, his stats are right up there with our highest stats of what our players give. Usually it's your central midfield players, but he's certainly up amongst them. So he's obviously prepared to do the hard physical yards as well as the talent.
Is that mental strength as well, Sean? Because he obviously had chances against Liverpool, but he bounces straight back next week, the following week, I should say, with that finish that you speak about against Brighton.
Well, often the strikers with the good goal records and the strong goal records at the end of their career are because they come through situations without fear. Like they don't fear the next chance, and he certainly looks like that. He's had chances, and he's almost more frustrated than fearful. So he gets a chance Saturday, struck it cleanly, struck it clear-mindedly, and finds the corner of the net. And he's he's had other chance in other games, and that probably shows his maturity in the game. If you look at his goal record, you can't have a goal record like that if you get nervous around chances. I think he wants chances. I think he'll take chances on, and I think he's shown that with his mentality on Saturday to strike cleanly at goal and score a very good goal with a good build up to that goal as well. But a very good goal for him and for the team.
When we spoke to Josh Brownhill earlier today, he talked about that winner potentially being a massive moment in the season. So how do you see it now?
No, I just see it as another big moment. There's plenty of them during the season. It's I said straight after the game to the players, a good performance, well deserved actually, because we've been, I feel, a good run of performance level. But they get the reward with a good win. But it's just one win. We need plenty more of them. But I think they should enjoy it because they deserved it and they earned the right to enjoy it. It gets parked quickly in my thoughts, and it gets parked quickly in the players. Certainly this morning we're ready to go again. That's the way it is.
How difficult though has it been through the season to get the players to keep going, to keep doing the right things when a number of times the good performances that you put in haven't necessarily been awarded or rewarded with all 3 points?
Well, you have to stay steadfast to what you believe in. You have to remind the players what you believe in. Also, we've got a lot of years in service in the Premier League, which strongly suggests that when we do what we do well, that we can be very competitive. And I think we've got back to that over the last 5 games. I didn't think we were far away, particularly in the first 8 or 9 games of the season. We had a middle section, particularly the Leeds game, stuck in my throat a little bit. Wasn't pleased with that performance, especially the last 15, 20 minutes. But the way the players have come out of that with very strong performances and, some on paper, because obviously games sometimes play out differently, but you're going, way down to Arsenal when they were in really good form. Played Man United, played very well against them. I thought one of the best performances of the last 5 was against Liverpool. We didn't get anything, but I thought it was a very, very strong performance against that kind of opposition. And took that thinking into the Brighton game and delivered a very strong performance, with all due respect, against a team who are not Liverpool. And we found the net and we found the right way of working to get the win. And I think there's been strong signs of that, certainly over the last 5 games, even before that. And I'm just pleased for the players because they work very hard here, they're very diligent, and you need a reward. You do need a reward, and it just adds to your confidence. You need confidence to be a professional footballer, full stop, but it just adds to that when you give a very good performance and get a very good win like that.
And is moving off the foot of the table do anything to that confidence, or is it purely about the performance being rewarded with all 3 points?
No, I always speak clearly on it, and I do to the players. I don't show them the league table all the time. The biggest league table you look at is the one at the end of the season. That's the important one. But don't get me wrong, during it, you want to be in the right place. Of course you do. You're up there, and we've been up there a few seasons where we're in, really strong shape at this time. We've equally had a couple of seasons when we're not. So therefore, that's the balance of what we are in the Premier League. We have to earn the right. We have to fight for everything that we get, and we're certainly showing that. We're showing the right mentality to make sure that we can win games, and we've got to keep doing that.
What do you expect against Spurs? I suppose one of the messages is to remain switched on at all times, because we've seen Spurs have it of getting late goals of late.
Yeah, look, they're a really strong outfit. I know they had a bit of a tough run, but you can't expect anything other than good players playing well at these type of clubs and these type of situations. You have to give a performance. We've done that recently, as I suggested, against very strong outfits. We're going to have to do that again because they're still a very, very strong side. And they showed that with the win and the mentality to keep going against Man City, who are obviously a top side.
Thank you, all the best.
Thank you. So I'll just have a quick wet. There we go. Thank you.
Thanks, Vinny. Alex, PLP.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. Just wanted to start by asking, has there been a change of mood at the training ground?
Not overly. I think the mood was good. I think we try and keep the mood right here. The players keep it right themselves. They've taken ownership of that many years. I don't change my manner, I don't think, too much. But there's bound to be an added feeling, but I don't think the feeling was wrong. I don't think it was a negative feeling. I think there's been a lot of positivity. As I said, I think the idea is it adds to the feeling, adds to confidence levels, etc., etc. It doesn't make it just adds another layer on top of it.
With that, are you pleased that you can go again so quickly, play again on Wednesday?
Yeah, you can look at that situation either way, because you come out of a nice win and a good performance and the one before that, and you want that mentality to stay. On the other hand, it's nice sometimes you haven't got a game, you can sit and you can watch the world go by for a week and, sort of analyse a bit deeper. But the players are in a good place. I've said that every week. They're in a good place. You can see that with the performance levels. So on this occasion, I think it's good that the game's come around for us.
And earlier on, Josh Ramsdale described Weghorst as a warrior. And I guess that's what you want to see from all your players now. You need a team of warriors, don't you, fighting down the bottom?
Yeah, I think we've got that mentality. I think we've had it for a long time. I think there's many moons ago, I think it was Ian Holloway famously said that we've got a strong jaw, and I think he's right. We've had a team mentality that served us well. And like I said, I've been going about it all season, and it's been difficult for me as manager to keep repeating myself because you don't want to, and people think that you end up just saying the same things. But I've said all season we've not been far away. The last 5 performances have shown that against very good opposition, and now we've got to build on that. It's not we weren't just waiting for it to happen. We were attempting to make it happen. Wout's come in and made a difference. Maxwell's come in and made a difference. Players coming back to form. I thought Dwight McNeil was excellent. Aaron Lennon's been terrific for us lately. Jack Cork had his best game of the season on Saturday. These are people who are laying down markers. Nathan Collins come in playing well. Eric Peters, shining example of professionalism lately. So there's always been a lot of strong markers there, but the facts are the facts. We were bottom of the league and now we've stepped up one. We've got to keep going with that mentality. We've got to strive for more. That's what it's like being in the Premier League. You can't just hope it happens, that's for sure. You have to make it happen, and it looks like we're getting that mentality back. To make things happen. I've been very pleased with that over the last 5 games. We've got to keep doing it.
Just a word on Josh Ramsdale. It was his 54th shot in the Premier League, and finally his first goal. How happy were you for him?
I think them stats could improve. That's fair to say. But he's got a great engine. He's breaking up the play better. He just got he had a soft spell like a few did, and sometimes the game becomes confusing. And when you simplify it, excuse me, players like Josh are very good players. He breaks the game up so well. He gets in passing lanes so well. It's a big part of the midfield player's performance. Some are out and out technicians, but he's not. He's a team player. He's someone who can break the game up. He can pass. He can get in the box, and he has got a hell of a shot on him. We saw that in the cup game a couple of years ago, a couple of seasons ago down at Millwall. Last season I think it was actually, but he can. He's got a good strike. He got a little bit lucky on Saturday, but if you keep getting in there and you keep getting to the right places and keep with that mentality to strike at goal, then you might get the odd bit of luck. And he deserved it. I thought his all-round performance was excellent on Saturday.
Looking ahead to Wednesday, how dangerous is this Tottenham side with an informed Harry Kane?
Yeah, look, they're all... Well, it's a funny one because he's in form all of a sudden, because before that people were questioning him. I haven't questioned him. I think he's a top-class player. I've said it every season that we've been in the Premier League. One of the finest, centre-forwards I've seen all round. He's popped up with 2 big goals. He's a top player. It's simple as that. But our players are playing against top players all the time. It's not just Harry Kane. It's not just Tottenham. There's top players all across the Premier League, and our players have to come across them all the time. So there's certainly experience enough in dealing with that. But it's not easy. It's easier on paper than it is in actual fact. So these are good players, but our players have to play well against good players, against all players, to get what we want.
Obviously, what you want is back-to-back wins. How do you try and build on that 3-0 win? How can you?
It's with performances. The performances have been strong. That mentality, the fearlessness that comes with them performances, because you're going to need that playing against these types of opposition. We certainly showed it against Manchester United, more so the second half, to be fair. And I thought for the whole game against Liverpool, down at Brighton, like I say, different opposition, still very good opposition, by the way, and going very well this season. We've got to stay with that mentality and that performance level, because these are very, very good players and very good sides that we're playing against.
I hope there's not a storm because it suits Burnley.
Hope what, sorry?
Hope there's not a storm because it suits Burnley.
Well, look, the one thing I definitely can't control is the weather, so I'll not be trying to.
Thanks a lot. Good luck on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Dan Gill.
Yeah, hello.
Beardy?
You talk there about having that message and speaking about the performances and saying, we've not been too far away for a long time, and you've been saying that consistently this season. How much does it help, not necessarily for us watching from the outside, but internally for your players and your staff, to be involved in that performance against Brighton, be able to look back at it and go, that's it all coming together, that's the moment that we've been talking about?
Yeah, it's important because it reinforces what your message is, and my messages stay true to inside the camp and outside the camp. There's certain delicate bits of information, of course, through the media you have to be careful with, but generally I'm saying inside the camp, look lads, you're doing a lot of things right. The good thing with the experience of the Premier League that I've got, my staff have got, and a lot of the players have got, is we've got a lot of markers, about when we're doing things correctly, when we're doing things right. So at least that gives me some kind of clarity when I do have to speak to the media, and even if I do have to repeat my message, because I know the markers. So, excuse me. So I think that gives me at least a foundation to give that opinion. And then when you're speaking to your players as well, a lot of the time I've been reinforcing a lot of the positives of areas of our game. You don't always have to keep going on about players about not taking chances. You know, they know. You know, there's an unbelievable honesty amongst this group, and I take great pride in that. So they know when we haven't been taking chances, and they know when we've been playing well, and they know when we haven't. You know, they knew after the Leeds game that was a long way from what we do. We went to Arsenal with a much stronger mentality about what we do and getting back to basics, and we've been building on the back of that Arsenal performance, I think, by finding the basic structure of what we do. Certainly the energy, outstanding. I've said many times the second half of seasons, statistically we're very strong physically, and how we got about our performance levels. The last 3 games we've been kind of 7 or 8k in front of the opposition. I mean, that's a big shift, you know, from these players, and they're putting that in, week out all of a sudden. We weren't a million miles away from that, but we weren't on top of our stats like we normally are. We have been the last 5 games. Doesn't guarantee you a win, but it gives you a whole better chance if you're physically right.
Forgive me, this is a tough question. First time for everything.
Won't be your first.
You're correct. As far as away from the statistical side of it, can you feel it? Does your instinct, looking at the game, being around the players, can you feel when things are right without needing those statistical things in the immediate moment?
Yep, the stats are only there to add to what you're thinking. You know, we put everything into the thinking and then we decide what it is. Sometimes the stats, they offer, if you like, say a physical view, they offer a physical view when you think, well, you're not far off. But when you've seen the performance, I always say your eyes don't lie. You can see the intensity in people. You can see the edge that teams play with. So you've got to marry up what your eyes are seeing against the stats sometimes. The stats are there to reinforce performances, not to necessarily prove them. And to improve them, actually, sometimes when you say, look, this is not where we're at. But then you've got to add in the feel. And over the years here, I certainly know when the feeling's right. I can sense when the feeling's right. Sometimes you get it off, though. Sometimes you do get it wrong. You know, for a game before, and I've not felt it was right, and yet we've performed very well and won. But a lot of times, more often than not, when it feels right, it is right. And particularly when you've got a good staff and a good group of honest players, you know, they know as well when it's feeling right and the energy's right and the mentality's right. And they equally know when we're not far from it. And I think that's why the belief has been strong this season, because they know we're not far from it. And they've been as frustrated as I have at times. So there's definitely a feel to what the group do, not just the analysis of what a group do.
Do you think one victory can change perceptions, even in the Premier League? Because from TV pundits to supporters, I've heard quite a lot in the last couple of days of, I fancy Burnley to stay up now.
Well, I don't think it's just that one, is it? I think, you know, one loss in 5 against, like I said on Saturday, it's 6 points in 5 games. That doesn't sound a lot, but when you look at the teams we've just played, I think people go, hang on a minute, you know, that's not, don't get me wrong, Premier League's difficult, anyone you play. But there's certain patches of a season where the outside world looks at these games and goes, oh, you know, that's going to be really tough for them, the form they're in, and et cetera, et cetera. And then you come out of that period and you've topped off a few draws. You've played very well against Liverpool. I think most people, you know, were very surprised we didn't get something from that game. And then you go and have a really strong performance and a strong win at Brighton. So, you know, the story does change slightly, but the facts are the facts. We're still where we are in the table. So I look at that. I don't stare at it, as you know, but I'm aware of it. But it's a strong run of performance is the key for me. You need something to build on, and we've been looking to build on them performances all season. And we capitalise on a strong performance on Saturday with the finishing touches. We've got to keep doing that. It's simple.
Spurs in mind, but also with your own team, are you surprised that a lot of people are still surprised that teams are inconsistent, that it's difficult to get a run of results together in the Premier League? Because it strikes me that unless you're Liverpool or Man City, it's enormously difficult.
It is, yeah. I mean, look, our tough run, if you like, has been longer than I hoped, quite obviously. But it's very rare you see teams outside of the 3 or 4, you know, superpowers, probably on a good season, maybe 5 or 6 of them, as we know. Very rare you don't see all the rest have tough spells. You know, it is very rare. And even Tottenham, you know, three losses, I think, that could have been. I think I read somewhere about Conte possibly his worst spell if they would have lost the 4th one against Man City, as and they didn't. But you know, it doesn't sound a lot, but even for Tottenham, 3 games, 3 losses, if you like, you know, in their world, that can be a really tough run, you know. And if you look outside of them superpowers, even with a few of them having tough times, you know, most have a spell. Most have a spell during the season. It's almost, not always, but sometimes how you handle that spell. Now, we've had a way longer version of that than we wanted, of course. Performances have been stronger than it suggests with the points, which has given us hope and belief, and it certainly has me. And now you've got to add to that, and you've got to make sure you don't have another tough spell. We've got to make sure we're working hard to fight off a tough spell by getting results, and that must come from performances. I always say you take a lucky one, but as Ian Wine, my assistant, always says, there's no future in a lucky one. You know, you take it, you'll have one, and you'll put it in your pocket, but there's no future in that. At the minute, there's future in our performances. We've got to make sure we keep performing at the right level.
And I suppose if teams can go on runs like that, and Manchester City can lose when they look in such an unassailable position, does that give you belief going into every game that truly you've got a chance every time you step the field?
We've never lacked belief, to be honest. We've never lacked belief in the Premier League. You know, there's some really tough places you go to, but we've never lacked belief. You know, I've always looked at the players and thought they have a belief system that says we can win in every stadium, we can win against everyone who we play. It's not that easy. That's the truth of it. It's not that easy. When the game starts, sometimes teams play better than you, sometimes they might be factually better than you, but you can still find a way of winning, and we've done that many times throughout the Premier League.
And we had a conversation about changes or not changes or the other day, and you said I changed things and people perhaps don't notice. Just looking at the 11 from the other day, looking at your teams generally at the moment, there's people like Roberts and Collins and Weghorst and Cornet who are involved. Peter's playing with Charlie Taylor not out. Have you actually moved on? Are you in a situation where, I don't want to say new look Burnley, but did you see what I mean? The personnel has changed and things have changed. Have you sort of rather quietly gone about your business and actually changed things around quite a lot?
Well, yeah, but it's nothing I've ever worried about. You know, it's for everyone else to talk about Burnley never change. It's amazing, but it is a true story. People still say it, and you're like, well, I've been here 9.5 years. You'd think there'd been some changes. I don't know what you noticed, but Danny Ings hadn't playing for us up front, and we did sell Charlie Austin a long time ago. So, you know, there is obvious changes, but I don't worry about talking about it all the time. I know what we're trying to look at in the camp. I know what the players are realising. I know what we're trying to look at realising through performances and analytics and results. That's all I worry about, is working with the team. You know, everyone else can talk and give their opinion. It's not a problem to me. There are things we change, and we've changed many times down these years. There still are things we change. There's still ways of playing that we change. There's still things we look to add on to. But sometimes you don't, as far as you don't want fans to understand everything that you do, because it'd be boring. You know, you want fans to have a bit of a layman view sometimes, where they don't see all the little details of what you're trying to change. You know, the work that goes into set pieces, the work that goes into psychology, the work that goes into the dietary requirements and the twists and turns we put into the diet of players. You know, the work that goes on the training pitch. These are all twists and changes. Just because a view might be, oh, Sean Dyche's playing a 4-4-2, don't ever think there's not loads of work going on behind the scenes, because there is, honestly, there's mountains of work going on about many, not me, my staff, people, the peripheral staff, all twisting and changing as many things as possible to try and get the best outcome. So you change in many ways. It's just that the obvious one is to roll out a story that you don't change. So I just go, okay, no problem. Got no problem with that. We just want to win games, that's all. Everyone can think whatever they want to think. We just want to focus on trying to win games.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Cheers, Dan. Mark Walker, PA.
Afternoon, Sean.
Hiya.
You get a little bit fed up, Sean, with being given the moniker of the manager who knows how to keep a team in the Premier League. I know you've pulled off some great escapes, but not too long ago when Burnley were 10th and 7th, there's a lot more to Burnley during your time than just surviving.
No. I'm not really. You know, I think when you're first in the industry of management, there's things that, you know, get under your skin a little bit, and you wonder why people are saying certain things. But over the years, you just get used to it. It's just part of the role. A million opinions about a million different things nowadays. You know, everyone's a journalist of some description, so you just get used to it. It's like, yeah, what? No problem. You know, think what you're going to think, because it's hard enough to, you know, let people know you're trying to work hard, let alone have every answer. So I don't think I've got every answer. So if people have got opinions, it's never been a problem to me.
In terms of your momentum, it would give you another huge lift to back Saturday's results. So, you know, something for the fans at Turf Moor.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that the last win there was back in October, just reinforced the fact that Burnley are serious about getting out of trouble.
I don't think there's anyone thinks we're not serious about getting up the table. I think they're pretty clear that we're serious about that bit. Our fans have been terrific, and I'm not just saying it. They've been outstanding. They've backed the team. The other day we were very quiet against Man United first half. You didn't hear anything other than positivity for the team walking in at half time. Second half we were terrific, and the fans deserve a lot of credit for staying behind the team. It's not easy nowadays. Fans have a lot of almost pressure from media and pressure from outside noise to almost change their view. But our fans have been amazing. They went down to Brighton on Saturday. My goodness, we all know the weather, we all know the journey time. The players, we couldn't. Nowadays, we're fortunate we can fly to some games. We didn't used to, but we have done for a number of years now. But they're sitting on a coach for 6 or 7 hours. We get down there, they get on with it. The mentality's clear. This is it, lads. Crack on. Well, our fans were just the same. Our fans turn up down there. Taking them goodness knows how long to get down there. Fans have been amazing, so I'd never knock the fans here. Down to us to give them any reward we can, but it always starts with the basics. And that the one thing I only ever promised them, there'll be sweat on the shirt, and they're still seeing plenty of sweat on the shirt. They're still seeing the team giving everything for the cause, and that's an important thing in these parts. It should be everywhere, and I think it probably is. But in these parts, I think that's a really important thing to remember. And our fans are seeing people give everything for the cause, and that's an important thing for me.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Mark. Alex James.
Hi, Sean.
Hiya.
Just on James Tarkowski actually Westwood, I'm guessing they haven't been able to train with the group, obviously, without having tested clear yet. The performances of Collins and Cork just give you a bit more options, I guess. You don't have to rush them back in if they're not have to require training plan you would like.
It's not really about options or any of that. It's just about seeing good players play well, and I think they've come in and played very well. I think Corky I thought it was his best game of the season. He looked way back to the clarity which each can show and the know-how he's got of the Premier League. Arguably, him and Aaron Lennon are two most experienced Premier League players, so he certainly knows his way around the Premier League, and I thought he showed that on Saturday. And Colo's done ever so well when he's been in anyway. The thing I like about Colo is he reacts to the challenge in front of him. In a couple of other games and training games, you sometimes wonder, you think, where's his performance at? But when you get him in the real thing, he responds, and that's the secret to it. When you're playing in the real stuff, that's when you want players to play at their top of their performance, and I think he's done very, very well. But that's just a sign of an ongoing thing we've been trying to build here. I know the league table and all that at the moment, but we've been trying to build a stronger squad, a stronger unit, that when changes have to be made, we are stronger. Well, it's a great sign when you're making change. About two very, very good players for us, very strong players in Tarky and Westy, and yet we come in and delivered a performance that looked like they weren't even missing. Well, that's a powerful thing when players are going in and doing that, and massive credit to their professionalism as well, to stay on top of themselves, ready to go.
You mentioned after the game that has got a new injury. Is there any information as to what that is?
All I know is his calf, unfortunately, again, and he's having a scan today. So, but it didn't look a good one. So we're going to have to wait and see what the scan shows.
On Wout, obviously he's come in and been really impressive and hit the ground running for you. A lot's been made of Harry Kane's performance on Saturday for Spurs as well. How important a role can perhaps an all-round striker provide for a team in terms of making chances, taking chances, keeping higher up the pitch, setting the work rate, and so etc. Just how pivotal a thing can that be?
Yeah, the centre forward's role, the reason why I say it's the hardest job in the business is because, for one, most of your times be your back to goal, which makes it a whole different ball game. And for two, you're asked a lot. We ask a lot of our centre forwards. We want them to work without the ball. They've got to press when we can. They've got to keep their shape when they can. And equally, when we've got the ball, which we don't always have lots of, depending on who we're playing against, you've got to make sure you're keeping hold of it. You've got to make sure you're delivering for the team. And I think he's shown an all-round version of that so far. And I think his goal on Saturday just encapsulated more of an all-round performance, because I think the rest of his performance, fantastic touch around the corner for J-Rod, to then lend it to Aaron Lennon, who scored a fantastic goal. His awareness to bring others in, but also his understanding of the game. There's a couple of times when we got stretched a little bit, he drops into midfield when he needs to defensively. He makes a great tackle for one of the goals, sliding tackle to regain possession. These are things that you're adding to a performance of a striker. At the end of the day, he knows his job is to score goals, but he's adding a lot of other things to the side currently, and that allows other players to come to life as well. I thought Dwight McNeil was very good on Saturday. He looked way back to his kind of self and more open with his performance, and as suggested, Aaron Lennon, fantastic, 401 appearances I think that's in the Premier League. Outstanding professional, and see him enjoying his football is pleasing for me as well. We just want to bring all these together and all these combinations together adding into what Val and what Maxwell at times brings us, adding into their performances to add to the squad and what we do. And it's so far, it's looking like that's working. So we've got to maintain and keep building on that.
Yeah, I was going to mention Harry Kane, obviously, coming up against his former club on Wednesday. There was probably, from the outside, maybe a few raised eyebrows when he returned to the club in the summer. What does he bring on and off the pitch, and how much sort of fire is there still burning in him? It seems like he, like I say, enjoys football and playing some of the best football really of his career.
Well, he's fit and well. He made it clear to me in the summer he was, and he really felt that. He felt he left something here the last time. He felt that he hadn't got to where he wanted to be for himself, let alone us, But his work ethic's great, his shape's good, he understands it. And when he adds in the moments that he's added in, I thought he was excellent at Man United this year. A lot of question marks raised on that one when we put him in the number 10, but I felt that he could do something, and he did. He operates from the wire. He's very diligent. He'll do the team job. And when he's in a place like he was on Saturday, he's like a pre-assist, if you like, finding Connor on the overlap with a fantastic little ball in behind, and then grabbing himself a very, very good goal. But his team ethic, his work for the team is excellent. For someone who's done what he's done in the Premier League, he could rely on just his know-how, but he doesn't. He will work as hard as anyone in the team, and he's fantastic for that, and he deserves a lot of credit for it.
Just lastly for me, just on Maxwell, he set sort of such high standards, I guess, in the first half of the season. Certainly made a really big impact in the first half of the season. He perhaps not that he played badly, but perhaps hasn't recaptured that since. Is that just the impact of that gone a little bit and coming back from that? Yeah,
he didn't hardly play. He went away. He'd been injured before that. He didn't hardly play. Their training schedule wasn't what ours is. I explained that on his journey back in. I said it's going to take him a while to get back up to true fitness. He had 2 or 3 too many days off, when he could have been back here to try and, be right for the rest of the season. It's going to take him a little bit of time to get back to that maximum fitness level, but he'll get there. He's a talented player. There's no two ways about it, and he'll get there.
All Fridays off, I take it, or I suppose you've given him time off after AFCON.
Of course, Alex. That'd be ridiculous. A churlish suggestion, wouldn't it, Alex, in my world?
Just double checking before someone makes a story out of it.
Of course. Hey, never get the truth. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Well, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, but then you corrected it, rightly so. Fine, sir.
Nice one. Thanks all. That's Wednesday.
Thank you.